got one here from Jake. What is the process to become a Mosquito Police partner?
So, begins with your phone call, okay? A lot of people will watch our videos on YouTube, and then I'll get these calls. So we have just a short little message thing that you fill out on our website, and just ask you a few questions about the partnership program, and once they fill that out and they send it to us, or they can call the office, and the girls will set up an appointment to talk with me. So it goes on a calendar, whatever day works for them and us, and when we have openings to talk to them, we just pencil them in. And at that point, I give them a call. We talk for, I've talked one time for 4 hours. I talked another time for 20 minutes. I've talked another time for 2 minutes. And so it really varies on and what you have to go over with each individual,
Okay.
And we try and limit it the best we can. But so you go from the phone call, then you go to basically if they decide after that phone call, what I ask them to do is go home. You guys talk about it with your spouse. I always want the spouse in on the call to begin with because it's very important. I realize that I have spent countless hours on the phone with people, and you spend it with a guy, for example, and you'll spend 2-3 hours on the phone with him. You go over all this information, and then he gets back to you the next day and says, hey, can I get my wife on a call because she wants to hear some of this and she has some questions. Now you got 2-3 more hours on the phone with her. So now I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I get them both together at the table. We have a phone call. Once that's done, I tell them, take a day or two, week, whatever you need. Think it over. If you have any more questions, you bring the questions back to me. I'll answer them for you. And at that point, it's up to those guys to decide if they think the Mosquito Police Partnership Program is right for them. And if it is, that's when we move forward with contracts and getting them going.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. He also has another part to this. I guess you kind of answered a little bit of it. How long does the process take, if that were the case?
I've had them.
Probably from start to finish it.
Start to finish is typically 30 days.
Okay.
And it seems like the biggest hurdle that slows people down is financing.
Okay.
So this year right now, 2025, the buy-in is $50,000 to buy a partnership, and then $10,000, $10,000 for your initial marketing package,
Yeah.
which we provide. Okay, so basically I take their $10,000 and I purchase everything they need to have to start out with.
Okay.
Okay, and then I hand it over to them and say, okay, go do this, this, and this. Okay? Where was I going with that question?
Back to how long does it take, or how long does the process take?
Right, okay, to wrap that up, it takes like I said, typically 30 days. I've had some that I've done in 2 weeks. It just depends on, number one, how fast you want to move on this. If you come to me cash in hand, and here's what happens. It's not, I don't hire just anybody. I don't license just anybody to be a partner.
Yeah.
If I have learned over time, see, when I started out, I would do that. I would just, if they came to me with their money, I made them a partner.
Okay.
What I found out is that was a huge mistake, because I would partner with people that had no ambition, no work drive, no work ethic, and they didn't want to do the things that they needed to do to become successful, and then I had to end the partnership with them. So that's a bad thing. It was a huge waste of time for both sides.
Yeah.
So now I take more time focusing on them, letting them know what I want and what I need from them as a partner, and same with them. What do you expect from me? What can I give you? This is what I can offer you. And we talk back and forth about it, like the vehicle, for example, giving them a vehicle and to get started with, and that's something we do that nobody else does. So
Okay.
hopefully that'll shed some light on it.
Hope so too. Thank you very much, Jake. I got one from Eric here. Do you need to be licensed to do mosquito control?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No matter what state you're in, you have to be licensed for it. So, and that's a good thing. Believe it or not, that's a good thing, and I'll tell you why. It's like, I keep going back to lawn care because I've done that for so long in landscaping. Lawn care, it's an easy point of entry. And the reason there are so many lawn care guys out there is because it's so easy to get into. You just go buy a used mower, you got a used trailer, a used truck, and you just start mowing lawns,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
In the mosquito police business, any mosquito control company, you've got to get licensed by your state. Okay, so there's a procedure. When we have people calling from all over the country, we find out what all they have to do. Let's say in Florida. In Florida, for example, is a terrible place to get started because you have to go under someone else's license for 3 years before you can even take your test. So they have to work for another pest control company for 3 years before they can even take their test to have their own business. So that's a terrible place. Wisconsin, you can order the study materials, and it usually takes our guys about a week to study through that, and they can take their test and get their license. So big difference there.
Okay.
All right.
So I think we came across this one, but I think just break it down a little bit better. Ben asks, what's the cost to become a mosquito police partner?
Okay, so our prices have changed over the years, but not drastically. And I still think that we're the cheapest out there to get into. From all the competition that I've checked out, the different franchises out there, we're still cheaper than all of them.
Okay.
And we tried to make it that way for a reason. So to help get people who don't have a ton of money, all right, to help give them a start and get them going on it. So currently today, 2025, it's a $50,000 buy-in to the partnership and $10,000 for marketing, so it's 60 grand.
Okay.
That's your buy-in.
All right.
All right. The nice part about that, and I think it really separates us from the franchises, is let's say you take one of our competitors and they want $50,000 buy-in. It's usually $70,000 plus. But then as soon as you get that, excuse me, as soon as you send them that money, that goes in their pocket. You still have to go out and purchase a vehicle so that you have something to use to do your services, right? Excuse me. But with us, we give them a vehicle to use for the first 3 years. So that's a big difference between us and competitors.
Okay. All right. I got one from Owen here. In one of your videos, you mentioned giving the new partners a vehicle. How does this work? I guess didn't break that down a little bit better with that.
Right. So the vehicle is like this. So the $50,000 basically is their buy-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I turn around, I purchase a vehicle, and the company owns it. We own that vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I use their money, bought that vehicle. Now my job is to set that vehicle up.
Yeah.
So I have to put a wrap on it. I have to put all the guts inside, the motors, the tanks, the blowers, their chem blowers, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get all that done, I call them up, say, come get your vehicle, it's ready to go. They can use that vehicle for the first 3 years while they're building their business. Because I always thought it was hard for people to come up with, it's hard to come up with the 50 grand to buy in to begin with. But then they got to turn around, spend another 50 grand to buy a vehicle and get it set up. I could do that for them and let them use that vehicle for the first 3 years. By that time, they've made enough money they can buy their own vehicles.
Exactly.
Okay, and then that one, they have the choice. That either comes back to the company, back to us, at the end of 3 years, and we give that out to the next partner in line. Or they can buy that van if they really like it, van or truck. They can buy that from us at the current market rate for whatever that truck is going for.
Okay.
So they have an option.
All right. Okay. I got one here from Brian. It's a two-parter. Who gets the customers? And he also has on here, who signs them up for service?
Okay. So we do a number of things for them. So social media, website, that brings in some of the customers.
Okay.
Some of the other things you need to do, door hangers, whatever, signs, that stuff is on the partner to get done.
Okay.
Because we help them figure out their area, where they're going to be, their territory, all of that. And that's the other interesting thing, is that when you buy a territory from us, you never have to buy another territory. You can expand and make your business as big as you want. Versus competitors that they make you buy a new territory every time you want to expand. If I want to go north, they make me buy that territory. If I want to go south, they make me buy that territory. I don't do any of that. I encourage you, and I will not I encourage you to grow as big as you can be, and if a partner wants to come into your area and he calls me on the phone, my first call is going to be to you, talking to you and saying, hey, this guy wants to come in this town. Is that going to affect you? Do you plan on going that way? And if you tell me, no problem, go ahead and sell it, then I'll decide whether or not he's a good fit for us, and then I'll sell it to him. On the other hand, You tell me, George, I plan on branching out there in the next year or two. I'm not going to sell to that guy because I want you to get as big as you possibly can. Because if you're not successful, I'm not successful. If you're not making money, I'm not making money.
Okay.
So basically, it's a wash in the beginning. It's the 50 grand covers the vehicle, the 10 grand covers the marketing. Right now, I have made nothing on this deal. You've got that vehicle for 3 years. I'm not making anything on that thing. That miles are getting piled on that vehicle all the time. I'm eating that, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I figure by doing it this way, I'm doing everything I possibly can to help them grow and grow fast.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to take the hurdles out of their way. And I think I lost track of that question again.
All right.
What was it again?
Okay. The two questions actually.
I do this from time to time.
the
Sorry,
two questions. Who gets the customers, and who signs them up for service?
Okay. Well, getting the customers, again, it's a two-part thing. You're a partnership, right? So if I make you a partner, I expect you to do certain things, basically the playbook.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is how I made $1 million. These are the steps. This is what I did. This is how I grew. These are the problems that I have. And I try to help you avoid all of this stuff. Because my goal is to get you to get as big as you can, as fast as you can. Because why? You're making money. And as you make money, I make money. Right? So I go from the break-even thing. The buy-in's a break-even thing for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not banking on making money with you that first year. What I'm banking on is growing you into a big multi-million-dollar business.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
That's when I'm going to get paid back.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that
Did
makes
I answer
perfect.
that question?
That part I think is like you said, with the whole promoting in business, and that's how they get the customers. The sign up for the service, I guess, would be the one part we're missing.
I'm really struggling to get through this question.
I do apologize.
Oh, it's my fault. All right, signing up for the customers. Here again, here's another thing that we do that most companies don't. Most franchises don't do this. We have a centralized call center. Okay, so that would be this office here, and the managers are in that office.
Okay.
But this is our centralized call center area. So the girls come in here, they take all the calls, they sign up the customers for you.
Okay.
If you were a partner,
Yeah.
okay? And the reason we did that, as we've had instances in the past, here again, I'll go back to mistakes that were made early on in my years by letting, in the beginning we sold franchises. And we'd sell a franchise to someone and he'd come to me and say, George, I don't know why we're not growing. I don't understand it. And my question is, well, is the phone ringing?
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, the phone's ringing. We're talking to them, we're just not landing them. So I had to investigate why. I was like, well, what's happening? How are you answering the phone? What's being said? And he's like, I don't know, my wife does it. And I'm like, so you don't even know what's happening there? Because somewhere we're dropping the ball,
Yeah.
okay? So what we decided to do was do a crank call to her from, I had one of the office people do it, had it on speakerphone so I could hear with the partner, so he could hear what's going on. And we called and act like we were a new customer trying to sign up, and we had questions. So no matter what we asked her, you could say, well, is your product safe for bees? And she didn't have the answer. She had a horrible answer. It was just like, probably okay around bees. You know, it was just some of the dumbest shit you ever heard.
Yeah.
And by the time we ended that call, I looked over at him and I'm like, oh my God, there is your problem. And so we fixed that. And how we fixed that was we decided to spend the money, open up add an office here, and hire a bunch of girls and train them to answer the phone correctly. Not just to answer their questions, but to sell them, to get that number, get that credit card number.
Yeah.
You know, sell. Don't just answer the questions, land the sale. And since we did that, we have grown by leaps and bounds.
That's good.
So we're helping our partners out because they, instead of their wife having to have all the answers, because for the last 6 years, we've heard just about every question known to mankind has come across our phones. And we study those questions when they come in. We train our girls, hey, you know, our products are safe around bees, birds, yada, yada, yada. So that when they have these questions, they've got these little cheat sheets up here that tell them, hey, here's how you respond. And they're taught that. They're educated, right? It's not going to be that question like with the partner's wife where she didn't know anything.
Yeah.
She was costing them the sales. So they were doing all the marketing right. The phone was ringing, but she was costing them sales because she couldn't answer their questions. So she was inept at her job.
Yeah.
So that's why we went with the central call center.
Okay.
So, if you guys enjoyed these videos and you'd like to see more, I get hundreds of questions come in all the time. Let me know if you want to see more of these videos. I'll be happy to make them for you.